This podcast is sponsored by Release Winery. Every wine tells a story. Each growing season, it's our goal to create an artisan Napa Valley wine of exceptional quality. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at releasewinery.com.
So I came back to the family business about 5 years ago. I am the first official Bundschu to ever receive a paycheck outside of the winery. So I kind of wear that with pride, but I worked in higher education fundraising for 8 years. And then, I was particularly focused on athletics and athletic development for colleges. And when A, you go through a recession, and B, your football team, which is your main source of revenue generating sport, wins 3 football games in 5 years, it's pretty tough to raise money. So the wine business seemed like it was a good thing to get back into. And fortunately, my brother, he's really supportive of me, and we worked out a deal where I was able to transition into the family business in about 1.5 years time from when we started discussing it. And I haven't looked back since. It's been 5 years. April 1st is when I came back to the business. Made a lot of really great connections in fundraising, people who I'm still friends with now, and most notably, it really prepared me for the wine industry and just being able to talk to people in general and carry on conversations. And it's what I really love about this industry as a whole, is just meeting new people and how passionate they are about wine. And I'm so passionate about telling our family story, because I also joke that when I finally decided to come back to the winery, I realized what an anomaly our family business is, in a sense of that we're sixth generation family business. I say 7th generation, but the 7th generation isn't old enough to legally drink yet. But so I just was like, you know what? I need to go back. This is my calling now, to share our story and talk about our wine and just let people know that we're out there. So that's what I did. So I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Sales. My brother Jeff, who you mentioned, is still our President and CEO. He has been for about 25 years now. And then I am responsible for our wholesale channel, direct-to-consumer marketing, and then most recently I actually started my own wine brand on the side. And so in my free time, I do that as well. Yeah, no, of course I did. And my father and I, growing up, we had this one row of grapevines that were along the lane leading up to the winery, and they were Zinfandel. And every year that was what we took care of. And I had to prune the grapes with him. It was father-daughter quality time. Prune the grapes with him, harvest them, all of that, go through the actions. And then during some summers, I worked in the vineyards tying vines, which I hated because it was so hot. Child labor, no one really talked about it back then, but I just remember tying vines.
How old were you back then?
I was probably, I want to say maybe 11.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty young for sure. But
After that paycheck thing there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even think I received a paycheck for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know now. But so definitely grew up with that, and more so in the vineyards than probably in the cellar. And I love the vineyard and the farming aspect. That leads me to where the wine label that I just recently started is a lot about vineyard sites. So that's kind of some of the inspiration from it. And one of the things that I attribute to my brother, and I mean, there's 14 years age difference between us. And so he was already working in the family business as I was still coming up in middle school and high school and all of that. And so he really encouraged me to go out and get experience elsewhere and follow my dreams, quote unquote dreams, whatever I wanted to do. And that if the time came to come back to the winery and work for the business, that we could talk. So he was the first to growing up, he didn't really know that there was another option for him but to come back to the business. And so I think that he didn't want me to feel that way. So I'm so grateful for him to allow me to do that, because while it wasn't necessarily in the wine business that I had experience, I still got to learn about business, about structure, about organizations, and so that's really benefited me as I went back into the family business. So we're the oldest family-owned winery in California. We're still 100% family-owned and operated. And as I mentioned, all 3 kids from the 6th generation are back running the winery. Yeah, sure. So my new label that I started, I've had one wine released, another wine will be released in the next month. Is called Abbott's Passage. And there's definitely a story behind the name, which I'll get to. But what it is co-fermented field blends from different vineyard sites within Sonoma right now. And really the inspiration behind that was the knowledge that my family has had about Sonoma Valley for 150 years. And we know some of these vineyard sites and some of the stories and the people behind the vineyards. And so I wanted to really be able to capitalize on that, but I didn't want it to interfere with Gundlach Bundschu, because Gundlach Bundschu, we're all about history and sites and our estate and making wines from our property, that muddling the waters with trying to introduce something else just didn't make sense to me. And so this has given us an opportunity, myself, and I do have a winemaker who's helping me with it, since that's not my specialty. We have found some great vineyards within Sonoma, and then what I'm really excited about is down the road we're looking to look outside of Sonoma, and either in the Sierra foothills or Clarksburg, or even going up to Oregon. And so it just really gives us a chance to find cool vineyards and stories and the people behind these vineyards to be able to share. And so that's what the genesis is of Abbott's Passage. And the story of the name comes from, I'll just say the Abbott actually is a metaphor for the story of the brand. And there's a tale in Sonoma, which is actually now proven to be true, of a priest who lived at Mount LaSalle Christian Brothers in Napa. And once a week, he would trek down from the Christian Brothers to his favorite local watering hole in Sonoma and enjoy some beverages, and then trek back to the Christian Brothers. And so what it is, essentially, as I mentioned, he's the metaphor for the journey and discovery. And like, you can only imagine what he would come about hiking from Mount LaSalle, which round trip, it's about 15-mile hike, from the mountains of Napa into Sonoma and back. And so that's, like, as I mentioned, the metaphor for it. It's like hell-bent on finding these cool vineyard sites, something that's undiscovered, and the journey to get there.
This podcast is sponsored by Release Winery. Every wine tells a story. Each growing season, it's our goal to create an artisan Napa Valley wine of exceptional quality. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at releasewinery.com.